In teaching Kemetic and ancient Egyptian mathematics, one of the first things to do is simply learn about the place value system or the number system. Okay. Numbers were represented using tally marks or either represented using beads. And the second place value system is the second in the place value system is a symbol. Looks like this, which represents a house of 10. It represents an open doorway when you enter into houses or open window openings. This is also the ancient African arch. If you do a search on YouTube, you should also be able to find out about the ancient African arch, or it's also called the Nubian vault, which was a way of displacing weight. It was the use of physics to displace weight for openings so that the top of the window or door opening would not collapse because of the weight of the building. So this symbol represents a house. You will also go study ancient rural houses in South Africa and Nguni houses. They were also shaped similar, and that's where the conceptual understanding of a house of 10 comes from. Then there's also this symbol, which represents takeaway, or it's a negative symbol. And there are actually beads in the African math program that's aligned to these quantities. For positive values, again, there's 1. We use this color, it's the yellow bead. For a house of 10, we use green. And for our takeaway beads, we use red. And for educators, we do this to color coordinate our beads with place value and ultimately algebra tiles. That's a later lesson, but there's a lot of thought that's gone into the color coordination with the series, and it will matter later. Also, for educators who use 10 frames, the fact that a lot of 10 frame math toys have both yellow and red, and that allows us to use these colors to have functionality. As you can see, if this represents a negative and this represents a positive, once you put the values together, then that's a zero pair, which is very useful when teaching hands-on mathematics. It's also helpful because ancient Africans embedded algorithms using addition and subtraction into their counting system. This is true for South Africa and for Nigeria, and we're still doing ongoing research to see what other languages embed those sophisticated ancient algorithms. The system is very simple to use, it's very child friendly. Please always teach African math and Kemetic math as a game. If we're counting by ones, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have a system when we get to 10 where it's called clear carry. Here we clear a fraction of 10, and then we carry forward a group of 10. So now what I'm doing is I'm clearing every fraction of 10, and then I'm carrying a group of 10 into the tens cup. So notice all of these cups here are fractions of 10. Okay. This cup here to the left represents the value of 10. For the lower left-hand cup, if you were to move this cup up, that would, if this lower cup represents the value of 10. If you were to move the bead up, now that's a value of 50. Counting on from 10, we're going to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now we're going to clear. Fractions of 50 and carry up a group of 50, counting on from 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now we have 100. We have two groups of 50. So now what we can do is we can clear and carry the second group of 50. Clear and carry the second group of 50. Now our value is 100. And if we had a 100 cup here, we would, to the left, we would clear, and then we would carry a group of 100, which is represented by a blue bead, and which is in another class. This system is consistent with the ancient Kemetic or the ancient Egyptian writing system, which makes the system cohesive and easy to understand, with both having the concrete representation with the beads, something to touch, and then having a pictorial representation with something to draw, and then we can translate what we write. Okay? So remember that this symbol represents positive values. This symbol represents positive 10. This symbol represents negative values. Okay? Now, what if we wanted a negative 10? A negative 10 would be represented by simply closing the house. Just close it. That's a negative 10. Now, the good news is that negative is represented by a red bead in all cases, which means that if I had a positive 10 and then I decided I want to take away 10-3, the answer would be, we have a 0 pair here for 10. This is a 0 pair, so we would clear the 0 pair, and we would have negative 3 remaining. So how would we do that if we had, in this case, we're going to turn this into, this negative 10 into negative 10, 3. But we're going to add it to 10. Okay, so what we would do is this 10 would be represented by a vertical mark. Okay, so we would actually have this positive 10 turn into a vertical tally mark. If you want to put a 10 inside, you can, or a dot or bead inside, you can. But what we typically do is just put a vertical mark inside of it. And then that represents now converting that negative 10 into a 0 pair. If we wanted to turn this one, which is positive, and add a negative to it, we would simply close it and then add a vertical mark, turning it into a 0 pair. Either way, we want our 0 pair to either look like a 10, a house of 10, 0, or it's the exact same thing if we were to add a positive 1 and a Kemetic 0, negative equals a 0 pair. 0 pairs are very important when it comes to ancient African math and Kemetic math, because it is in the language, it's in the counting system, and it's in the procedures when using the African Abacus. Zero pairs are crucial to quickly resolving and solving equations using concrete, tangible objects, which we call math toys. We don't use the term manipulative, we use the term math toys because it's more child-centered. And again, historically, Africans taught math through a cultural lens of play. So I encourage you to do the same. Make sure that you play and have fun with African math games. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions, or reach out to us at africanmath.com. And I want you all to always remember something. Education, ancient African initiation schools had different villages, and different villages had different industries. So make sure that when you educate a child, that it's curated towards where they're going to go in life. Initiation schools should be relevant to life. If you live in a village on water and you make boats and nets and fish, then the curriculum for the children should be created for that life. If you live in the mountains where it's cold and you have livestock of lambs and cows and other livestock, then the children's education should be aligned to the needs of the village. I created a proverb that says, education is preparation for the next generation to inherit their nation. If you live in a very advanced first world city and there's need for infrastructure maintenance of plumbers, carpenters, brick masons, welders, and the like, make sure that the education is aligned to the needs of your nation. Education is not some abstract concept that should be utilized solely for acquiring grades and certification. There's a difference between education and certification. A worthless certification is not a good education. Make sure you always remember, education is preparation for the next generation to inherit their nation. And with that, I've enjoyed my time with you, and I look forward to our next lesson. Until then, happy learning.